What's up, guys? This is me again, live from my bedroom. I know you guys probably hear my voice. It's a little bit hoarse, a little bit raspy right now. I did take a little bit of an absence from YouTube because unfortunately I was hospitalized. So, my voice is gonna go in and out for a little bit. There's a medical reason, but I don't wanna really get too far into that. It's not too, hopefully that's over with, it's in the past, done with, done for. So hopefully I don't have to worry about it too much after I heal up from being in the hospital. Other than that, yeah, you might notice I'm wearing a Balenciaga shirt. So this is kind of playing off of the gallery department video that people like so much. And we're gonna examine Balenciaga a little bit, the new Balenciaga. Unfortunately, I don't have any pieces from Cristobal Balenciaga's day. Those are extremely hard to get, extremely rare, and very, very expensive. Balenciaga already is pretty expensive. So, without further ado, I'm gonna kind of get into whether or not Balenciaga is worth it, just like the gallery department video. I have a t-shirt and then I have a hoodie from Balenciaga. Those are more the entry-level pieces. They're not runway pieces, they're not the bear hunting jacket. It's just, something that most people are gonna get away with wearing and most people are gonna gravitate towards. T-shirts, hoodies, pants, and people are probably willing to go a little avant-garde, but most people aren't gonna walk around in that bear hunting jacket, mostly because it's probably super expensive. Second of all, it's just a very attention-grabbing thing. I'm gonna show you a little bit about Balenciaga and its history, and then kind of go over what you get, like quality versus price. Then I'll segue into like the modern day Balenciaga, where Demna Gvasalia, formerly at Vetements, now at Balenciaga, is designing their stuff now, putting some amazing stuff out. Some stuff I can't afford, but some stuff I am lucky enough to afford, particularly like stuff like this, hoodies and stuff. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get right into it. Cristobal Balenciaga was born in 1895, Heteria, Spain, where his mother worked as a tailor and a seamstress. By the age of 12, it's rumored that Balenciaga started tailoring, and from then on considers himself a self-taught fashion designer. Cristobal Balenciaga is also rumored to never have actually sketched a single garment. Many of his greatest works were actually made by his own hands, because the machine is considered not able to replicate the complex and original things that Balenciaga put into his clothing. Later on in 1919, Cristobal Balenciaga opened up his first physical storefront. Unfortunately, in 1937, the country of Spain broke out into a civil war. This forced Cristobal to actually relocate to Paris, France, where he opened up another boutique under his name, Balenciaga. This turned out to be a decent move for Balenciaga, as he was hailed as the king of fashion later on in his career and began selling to many high-end clients. Some of his most game-changing and notable designs include the cocoon coat, the tunic dress, and the baby doll dress, amongst many others. So without going on a whole rant about this, I do want to break down what I mean by a cap on quality. Basically, when I ask that question, is there a cap on quality? That means, is there a point at which my price that I pay for something, a good or a service, becomes kind of ridiculous because I'll never get the use, like the utility or the wear or something, I won't get my money's worth out of it, essentially. So anybody can kind of make this claim about anything, but you have to be, kind of realistic about it. So a t-shirt, for example, is something that most companies that produce clothing make. You can pretty much get them anywhere, and they range from, very low to very high prices. Essentially, it just covers your body as a base layer of clothing, as long as it's made well enough not to fall off or fall apart. Now, Gildan t-shirt, pretty rough to me, kind of uncomfortable and fits awkwardly on your body. And after a couple washes, it's pretty much like I don't want anything to do with it anymore. But, maybe a Hanes t-shirt, something I can toss a football in the front yard around in, and I can feel relatively comfortable. So, with that, the price tag is going to go up a little bit. Now, when you talk about Balenciaga, some of these prices are pretty high. You can see on here, not even just the t-shirts, but like jackets and coats and stuff. Pretty high prices. So are you getting everything from this t-shirt or jacket or whatever you're buying that you're paying for? Well, you got to understand what they're charging you for. They do a lot of marketing. They do a lot of, celebrity deals. They put a lot of money into promotion. They put a lot of money into hiring Dim of Asalia or whatever designer they have at the time, and I would say all that has to be factored into the prices, because at the end of the day, you want to sell clothes and accessories and fragrances. But, there's only so many people that can buy so many things at a certain price point to get that money back that they spent on all that stuff. So it ends up making the prices a bit higher. Now, of course, some prices are ridiculous. Like, who would pay $6,000 for a t-shirt unless like Julius Caesar owned it or something? Obviously, that's ridiculous, because who would have an artifact like that? Probably would be in a museum, or probably cost much more than $6,000. That's a relatively low amount of money, especially for historical items. But hoodies, jackets, t-shirts, there's only a certain level of what these items can actually do. They keep you warm, or they look good. And that's what you pretty much are paying for with a designer brand, especially like Balenciaga, or Gucci, or Louis Vuitton. You're paying to look good and also have top-notch quality. That means top-notch construction, top-notch design. You want something unique that everyone else can't necessarily get or won't necessarily get. Something that may fit you and your style a little bit better than everybody else's. Now, the word quality is pretty subjective, but I think, like I said, we have to be realistic to a degree. So, of course, something that's double stitched is going to be a little bit higher quality than something that may be single stitched, or something that's chain stitched is maybe something that's higher quality as far as like falling apart or not than something that is not chain stitched. So a lot of these fashion houses have intricate and different ways of stitching, of putting garments together construction wise, and it makes them hold up, or maybe achieves a different shape that other fashion houses are. Let's go back all the way to Hanes and Gildan. Gildan and Hanes aren't chain stitching things. They're not going back and taking the extra time to serge the seam 2 or 3 different ways or whatever. When you get like an expensive coat or whatever from a fashion house, you're going to see all these different things. Or maybe a really good workwear brand like Carhartt. I might have already said this before, but in case I didn't, things like nice combed cotton, silky flowy material, having the correct amount of thickness for what garment you're trying to create. Like, you don't want a thin jacket necessarily unless it's like a rain jacket or something that looks like it's going to tear. But at the same time, you want like a t-shirt that could be thin enough to keep you cool, but also thick enough to, have some weight to it to feel like you spent some money on it, to drape instead of hang on your body. And the difference is one looks a little bit more effortless. Like if it drapes, it just looks like it's effortlessly fitting on your body, versus hanging looks like someone kind of threw it over you. So in conclusion / in summary, just to summarize what I've spoken about in regards to Balenciaga, you are going to get some of the most premium, high quality materials and construction that you're going to find anywhere. It's definitely not a regular shirt. There are hiccups along the way where a high fashion brand charges an obscene amount of money, yet the quality doesn't really justify that. Like what you're buying doesn't justify it, and it'll be something silly like a bag or whatever. Now,
Of course, you're going to get a very unique design, hopefully, from whatever brand you're buying and spending that price tag on. It's going to be something that people aren't replicating, or maybe Zara will replicate later, but it's going to be something that is original and unique to this brand. They usually pull from their history or heritage. When a newer designer comes into a fashion house with heritage like Alessandro Gucci or Demna at Balenciaga, they kind of look back towards the past, and I don't want to say they recreate things, but they reinterpret certain things, and then they add their new ideas into a mold that kind of fits the Balenciaga or the Gucci or the Margiela standard / look. So, of course, that being said, there's history and there's a name that you're buying into. So some of it, of course, is going to be hiked up because, well, they just simply can. But of course, there's tons and tons of marketing money that goes into this because they need to stay relevant, which is why they keep hiring new designers every so often. They make contracts with them because, no one stays relevant or new forever. There may be some exceptions, but that's usually not the case. As you can see here on the website, Balenciaga has some pretty unique designs, other than the PlayStation and Hulk stuff, which is silly. But other than that, they have some pretty unique designs and shapes. Yet their price is super, super high for a lot of things. Is it worth that? In my opinion, like 1.3K or $40,000 and so on and so forth. No, but for some items, yes. And by that, I mean t-shirts. I probably will only buy Balenciaga t-shirts from Grailed or just something secondhand, unless I think I have to have a certain t-shirt or it's too exclusive to get on the secondhand market. But otherwise, I'm buying mine from Grailed secondhand, which is still expensive but much cheaper. I'd rather pay $250 for a t-shirt than $700. As far as hoodies, although the quality is amazing, the material is amazing, $800, I'm still going on secondhand market. I bought both of those Balenciaga items from Grailed. Now, with haute couture, these are very painstakingly made items, and they're usually the highest quality that you're going to get. Some of these things are even handmade, like a lot of Dior and Balenciaga pieces from back in the day were handmade, and some of them are still handmade today. They're not mass produced, and they're one of a kind a lot of the times. They may show up on a runway, but surely no average person, even someone like a celebrity, may not even get a hold to them. It's very exclusive. So that does kind of justify the higher prices on that end. And then something like the 7-layer coat that they have, like, it's very difficult to do this, but it's supposed to look like it's easy. That's how you know it's done good, done well. So things like that, I would say the price is justified. Not that I'm willing to pay that. I'll definitely still try and find it cheaper on the secondhand market, but unfortunately, I'm not able to do that all the time. Sometimes never, depending on the piece. So I would say if you have the money and you want to buy that, I think that would be a worthy investment, because these pieces, like the one Playboy Cardi wears and on Instagram and stuff like that, these pieces tend to actually accrue more value over time. So it's quite possible that if you spend that much money, or you can spend a lesser amount and still actually be putting your money into something that's only going to increase in value over time, like a cool watch, like a Rolex or an Audemars or something like that. So is Balenciaga worth it? Depending on what you buy at retail. On the secondhand market, I would say, yeah, it's worth it. You have to be realistic about designer prices, and you got to know what you're getting, what you're buying. You got to be a little educated on what you're getting, what you're paying for. Retail, I wouldn't buy anything unless I had the money to buy like some of their most unique pieces, honestly. So that's my 2 cents on that. I hope you guys liked the video. I'm gonna let you go. Peace out.